Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. So, I thought I'd show off a firearm that I've had for a while. I think it meets quite a few of the categories for being a good backpack firearm, a good vehicle firearm, and it's one of those things that I'm really glad I picked it up when I was younger because you know, right now I don't see myself, um, you know, purchasing a lot of firearms, in the near future. I think I'm going to stick more with, you know, magazines and rounds. Um, but, if you are thinking about, you know, what firearm do I want to get, I'd at least put this one on your list. Oh, and it's stuck under here. And that is the Keltec Sub 2000. Um, I'd say the one thing that I'm not quite happy with is I got the 40 S&W version instead of 9mm. Maybe if I could go back, I would have done 9mm. They still make these. Matter of fact, when I was, looking up some stuff to make this video, I didn't realize they made it in 5.7 by 28. But I've got a 15 round magazine for it, so a decent size. I can appreciate having a little bit more stopping power of 40 over 9. But it folds in half. You know, there are some ARs that I put into this category. Maybe you've got something with a folding stock, a 1022 breakdown, but it locks in, unfolds, and you know, I kind of like how very very simple it is. The charging handle is a part of the brace that you have here, and it comes with a very simple set of sights. It's a peephole sight. The rear one's plastic. The front is metal. I had a laser on here for the longest time, and the last time I seriously, used this for anything productive was doing some hog hunting, and it's middle of the night. I wasn't even attempting to try to see anything. It's fairly accurate up to about 85, 90 yards. You can get a bit more out of it that way, but hog hunting with this thing with a laser, sighting it in for about 50 meters when you're chasing them on four wheelers and stuff. um, I couldn't go wrong with that. It's a fairly lightweight firearm. Um, you know, there is the possibility to add other things to it, like putting some sort of handguard on the bottom to add a little bit of stability. You can put stuff on the top, but just know, uh, taking it down, the trigger guard is part of folding it in half. But for it to lock closed, you really can't put anything on the top of it. Uh, it's a fun little gun to have. They're going for between 400 and 500. You end up with a fairly low profile to go inside of a backpack, go under or behind seats in your vehicle. It does have spots to set up a sling for it, if it was going to be, openly carried for a decent amount of distance. And it being a pistol round, you know, you can, match this up with an M&P shield or a Glock 40 or something like that, and you'll have the added, benefit of, your, secondary uses the same ammunition as your primary, uh, and you can focus on one ammo type. Uh, I think the other nice thing about it folding in half is, keeping the barrel clean on this. Super, super easy. Uh, cleaning just the firearm in general, I think is very, very easy to do. Um, you know, I don't really have a lot of cons for this firearm other than, you're not really going to be using this top rail unless you leave it fully unlocked. I can say, it does lock back when the magazine's empty. But that first time firing it, like I don't like to keep it locked back. Uh, if it's just in storage, it is kind of awkward. Getting it here and getting that. It's an awkward pull. It's almost better, to have it standing up and getting the full pull. It can be somewhat awkward. It is kind of nice knowing that you can keep the magazine in. You're not going to keep one chambered because it's folded in half. That's not how this one works. uh Very easy to tell that you don't have one in there. uh but that's the firearm in a nutshell. um I think, the what I'll say about all of this is it really doesn't matter what you get, in my opinion, um, as long as you are very comfortable with, using it to, if your purpose is more on the sustainability prepping side, am I going to be able to, take down game and protect my family? On the Minuteman side, am I going to be able to stop, whatever the threat is? Um, you know, you can pick any firearm, in my opinion. I think there are some that should maybe go higher than others. If I want something that is fairly universal, decent stopping power, availability of parts and ammunition, maybe I wouldn't go with this first. AR, shotgun, 22, some sort of bolt action rifle. Uh, but if your, prepping process, Minuteman process, whatever you want to call it, calls for, I don't want people to know that I have something that can, reach medium range. Like we've shot targets with this at about 150 meters. It's not fun at all. Um, you know, we would probably have to put some sort of sight on it, other than the peephole, to really do anything better than that. And that was also, we're in a, prone position, and it takes a few shots to, hit what we're trying to hit. But very, very comfortable in the 50 to, 80, 90 meter range. Um, Very, very low recoil because it is a pistol round in a carbine linked barrel. Uh, but don't shy away from everything Keltec. They're definitely, I think they're kind of aliens in the form of making some of their firearms that they've done. Uh, getting a pistol caliber that's, you know, I kind of like to think it's the sweet spot between uh 9 millimeter and 45. I did just remember that. the stock does adjust just a little bit, nothing too crazy, and it's it has 3 different positions that it can go to. Mine doesn't want to move. That's all right. I'll mess with it later. But it's an option. I think it's a good option if you've got a hole burning in your pocket. This is one that I definitely say go pick up. If you want something that you can carry very easily, people aren't really going to know that you're carrying something. That low profile kind of thing. It's a decent thing to have. I think pistol caliber carbines, have their uses in the prepping world, in the Minuteman world, I believe in the Second Amendment and I need a gun suggestion world. So let me know your thoughts below. Subscribe to the channel. We're growing. Watch the shorts. I think they're kind of enjoyable and it's fun making them. Check out any of the other videos. Most of them I think are pretty relevant. If it's a news related thing, probably not. I've been doing these for a while. Just realized I had over 500 of them up. Leave a comment on anything. I respond to basically all of them. If you got questions, let me know. It could turn into a video. But all that being said, I'm getting a lot of this reloading stuff pretty well cleaned up. Here's one that got a very, very, very nice cleaning in. This one's next. It's getting there. It's a very time consuming process. I think this one's pretty close to being cleaned up, and hopefully with this next paycheck we'll pick up some stuff to start reloading, and we'll have those videos coming to you as well. But I've rambled on long enough. Need to get some sleep. Y'all probably should too. I'll catch you on the next one.